and my advisor is Dr. Ryan An. Today, I will talk about an approach to detect hook attachment point of a safety harness using IMU sensors. Fall from height is one of the most significant sources of accident at construction site. To prevent fall from height, workers should wear a safety harness when they work at height. However, workers frequently use their safety harness in an improper way, which means that the hook is not attached to the rigid structure because of non-compliance or restrictions to movement. In this context, this research developed an approach to detect the proper use of safety harness by identifying the hook attachment point while workers are undertaking various construction tasks. This study demonstrates that the safety hook movement are affected by the workers' postures, activity, and hook attachment point. To identify where the hook is connected, therefore, this study analyzed both the safety hook movement and the workers' bodily movement. The developed approach was designed to simultaneously classify the workers' postures and activities in order to better identify hook attachment point. So let's talk about the association of hook movement with workers' bodily movement. I used an IMU sensor attached to the safety hook and the body strap as shown in the left figure, the blue and orange circle. And the collected IMU data are plotted at the right figure. The hook movement is the blue one, and the back movement, which is the bodily movement, is orange color. Here the subject is moving bricks by standing, and the anchor is attached to this scaffolding. I will show you videos of how the safety hook moves depending on different anchor points. Here the subject is moving bricks by standing, and the safety hook is attached to the subject body. And this is another video that shows the subject place the hook on the ground while performing the same activity. Now the hook is connected to the scaffolding while the subject moving bricks by standing. And this is the collected IMU data while moving bricks with different anchor points. We can clearly find that the hook movement, the blue one here, depends on the anchor point while performing the same activity with the same posture. However, if the subject performs the same activity with different postures, for example, kneeling, the both hook and bodily movement changes. So what you can see here, the safety hook has distinct movement depending on the anchor point, but also the movement is affected by the subject bodily movement, which means that the bodily movement can be the key feature for identifying the hook anchor point. This study developed an approach to identify hook attachment point by two IMU sensors. This approach is designed to simultaneously classify the worker's posture and activity from the bodily movement. And such a classification helps to better identify the hook attachment point with the hook movement. In the developed approach, first we use a moving window for sampling. The window length is 3 seconds with a 2 seconds overlap. Next is to transform the sampled IMU data into image data. We use Markov transition field for the transform. Because the IMU data has acceleration and angular velocity data, we have two different images for acceleration and angular velocity. The transformed image size is 128 by 128 pixels. And we have 3 axes of each acceleration and angular velocity data. So we have 6 different images. So the shape of input data is the number of the samples by image size by 6 channels, which is the 3 axes acceleration and angular velocity. And we use 2 IMU sensors for the safety hook, the blue one, and for the bodily movement, the orange one. So we have 2 input data. This is the developed model structure that consists of feature extractors and classifiers. We have 2 inputs, image data from the hook and from the back, our body part. First, the back image data is input to the first feature extractor, and the features are used for posture detection. Then the features are input to the next feature extractor for activity detection. For hook anchor point detection, however, input data from both hook and back are used. You can see the yellow plus in the middle that integrate to input data at the feature levels. Therefore, in this model structure, the better classification of posture and activity help to better identification of anchor point. In this model, 4 feature extractors were developed based on convolutional neural networks, and the 3 classifiers were developed as shown in the model structure. This study performed an experiment to collect IMU data while undertaking various activities with different postures at different anchor points. 5 subjects participated in this experiment. Each subject performed 18 cases of activities. We have 2 postures, 3 activities, and 3 anchor points. Each activity was repeatedly performed for 3 minutes, and while collecting the data, the sampling rate was set to 50 pairs, and 70% of the total data were used for training, and 30% of the total data were used for testing model. The number of each training and testing data was 9,300 samples and 4,000 samples respectively. This is the model performance that shows 96% accuracy for anchor point detection, while the posture and activity detection shows 10% lower performance, which is 86%. This is because we used more information for the anchor detection from the hook and back image data. However, the posture and activity detection only used the IMU data collected from our bodily movement. And this result also demonstrates that analyzing the worker's bodily movement helps to better understand the hook movement depending on the anchor point. From this study, we demonstrate that workers' postures and activities are key features for hook attachment detection. Since we only use 2 IMU sensors for this approach, it can be applied in an existing safety harness. In construction, this approach could help safety managers to identify high-risk workers who are repeatedly using the safety harness in an improper way. However, the learning-based approach requires high-quality data for its reliable performance, but sometimes it could be challenging to collect qualitative and quantitative data at the site. So we need to further develop an approach to achieve generalizability and robustness in dynamic field environment. Also, for real-time detection, we need to improve the approach with reduced computational cost for data collection and data processing also. And this is all I have, and thank you.